Hi, I'm Southie, and this is an entire fresh habanero pepper. Wow. Oh man. I don't drink milk, so I have to eat a whole Kraft single to quell the heat. Not working. And yet it is still a more pleasurable experience than watching that hockey game.
I hate this. I hate this job. I hate these videos. I hate making them. I am now standing in my kitchen, eating Cool Whip directly from the container. It's not working. Nothing's working. Well, I think the game might have been better, actually.
Bruins lose.
Bees lose 6-1 in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Quarterfinals at home to the Buffalo Sabres. Goals were scored in order by Peyton Krebs, Josh Doan, Zach Benson, Bowen Byram, Beck Mallinston, Alex Tuck, and Sean Corrali. The win goes to Alex Lyon, who made 23 saves on 24 shots for a .958 save percentage. The loss goes to Jeremy Swayman, who made 23 saves on 29 shots for a .793 save percentage. Also appearing was Eunice Corpusalo in relief of Swayman, who made 6 saves on 6 shots for a .1,000 save percentage. I would like to apologize for what I said in a moment of weakness there. The game was still worse than the habanero, because the habanero wore off after about 10 minutes, and the game wore off after about 3 hours. Do you have any piece of media you like that you've watched so many times, yet every time you still get into it? Not like enjoy it. That's whatever. Plenty of shows are rewatchable. Like, feel like you're watching it the first time. Have the same emotional highs and lows, the tension, even though you know the outcome. For me, that show's NCIS. Spoilers ahead for season 2 or 3 of NCIS. I don't remember. But one of the agents falls in the line of duty very suddenly. And I think it's a season finale. But you don't really see it coming because it seems like the crisis is sort of resolved. And then suddenly, really just out of the blue, she's gone. And every time I watch that, and I've watched it several times with different people, every time I watch that, and I watch the episodes and scenes leading up to it, when they finally get to the scene where I know what happens, every time I feel like nauseous and jittery and like as though somehow, even though I know what's going to happen because it's recorded and has happened every time I've ever watched it, as though somehow this time maybe she'll duck or get away from it and it'll be different. And it never is. And that's what it's like watching the Bruins. Every time, every season, every time we do something different, I think, maybe this year we can do it. I say do something different. I just mean end up in the same place in a different year. Maybe this time we'll do it. Maybe this time we'll find a way. Maybe this time we'll step up to the plate. We'll be the clutch team. We'll take over. We'll do something. And every year, I watch Agent Todd get domed by a sniper, and every year I watch the Boston Bruins not show up when it matters. I wasn't being histrionic at all when I said this game was a must-win. And I wasn't being histrionic at all when I said after Game 1 that we were going to have a very hard time bouncing back in that series. I know that I was a fake fan for that. I would love to hear what a real fan is now. I'd love to hear, giving up on this team. Oh, this team is scoring up and down. That was one of the talking points I heard when all the fake fan accusations were being thrown around after Game 1. This team is scoring up and down. This team has scoring down, yes. Jeannot, Corrali. This team is scoring up. Debatable. It's looking less up. It's looking more like down. So there's that, but fine. I wasn't being histrionic when I was very, very concerned for the state of the series after game 1, and when I said that this game was a must-win. We dropped one game in Buffalo. That's fine. As the road team, you only need to really win one. We then dropped one game at home. That's good, but Buffalo's an excellent road team. If you can win game 4, down 2-1 at home, if you can win game 4, you go back to Buffalo, and you only need to win one of the 2 games of Buffalo. You have to defend your ice, but you only need to win one of the 2 games of Buffalo. I don't think it's too much to ask for a team to go 2-1 at home and to go 2-2 on the road, if that's what you need to do. If you can't defend your barn for all 3 games that you have there, then fine. It's difficult. It would be a difficult task, especially for the Bruins. We haven't been good on the road, but it was doable. If we lose game 4, then we need to win 3 games in a row, 2 of them in Buffalo. The almost reverse sweep, the gentleman's reverse sweep, if you will. Do you think we do that? Do you think that happens? I don't think there's a chance in hell. I really don't. And there are plenty of reasons why I don't think that. There are the mechanical reasons, the inferiority of skill and talent on the ice. I won't get on too much about whom we put on. I know Harris didn't have a good game. I would have picked Yoki Haru. I don't really get Harris. Fine. I wanted changes. Sturm made changes, and he kept making changes, and I do appreciate that. Throughout the game, different lines were coming out there. Of course, we had to jumble a bit with Arvidsson no longer available. That hurt us. It was not the difference between a 6-1 game and any different game. But Arvidsson not being there hurt us. Jump lines had to be jumbled. Maybe that wasn't even such a bad thing. So I get that we didn't have exactly our setup today. So many more things would have had to go wrong to explain this, such as like a witch casting a spell or all the players being put in a trance in this first intermission. Not in the first intermission, before the game. What were warm-ups like? What was practice like? We had, remember, we had 2 days before this game. 2. Because we last played Thursday. So we had Friday and we had Saturday. I thought we were going to play on Saturday when I first looked at the series schedule, but no, Sunday. And I was like, okay, we at home get the 2 days. We don't have to worry about travel. We get to practice on our ice where we've been good. What happened at practice that we went into the game like that? Did they go around telling ghost stories? What did they do? What did they practice? So there's the mechanical problems why we won't win this series. But I think that the realer issue is both the seemingly inexorable legacy of the Bruins that is constantly to underperform when it matters. I don't know if it's some sort of demonic entity. I do not know if it is the wrath of a vengeful god or some sort of universal karmic thing for some sin with which I'm unfamiliar. I did think, I'll say this, I'll get ahead. I'll say maybe there was some retroactive karma. There's a time to be aggressive. There's a time to play on the edge. Zadorov going up and cross-checking Dahlin and then sucker punching him is Bush League. Yeah, go ahead and disagree with me. I like a team that plays with edge. I really like Zadorov. That has nothing to... It's not a scrum after a whistle. It's not talking to a guy you want to go. It's not getting anything going. It's going up to a dude and it's cross-checking him out of nowhere. The major was deserved. I'm hoping that's where it stops, but it won't really matter. It won't really matter because we'll put out whomever and they will perform whatever way, and we will eventually end up on a beach somewhere. Cancun, Galveston, Martha's Vineyard. I don't even know if there are beaches there. I've never been. But whatever it is, I hope Zadorov doesn't get suspended. Maybe he'll probably be fined. I think that would be fair. Whatever it is, it is. It's hard to get too worked up about the specifics of that when the whole thing, just the product, the forest for the trees that were the individual moments in this game is so bad that it's not even really worth considering. I use the word disgust a lot with this hockey team because they disgust me a lot. And I love them. It's like if you had a very disgusting child. You would still love them, but they would still be disgusting. It's how I imagine Pigpen's mothers feel. Mothers? Maybe. Who knows? Feel in the Peanuts comic strip series. If you're not familiar, I'm not going to explain because really the whole underpinning concept is a little bit elusive to me. In any case, they disgust me. Today they offended me because people, Bruins fans, paid good money, real American currency, maybe other currencies, they could have come from abroad, paid real currency to attend. There's a dog barking. I hope that is not my fault. It would be the only dogs barking I saw today. So they paid real currency to attend this event. And some of them sat right by the ice and some of them sat all the way up in the nosebleeds. And they all wanted to be in that building for Game 4 to watch their team defend their barn, tie up the series, and give themselves a real chance to move ahead, to move along, again, against our favorable opponent. And you come out there and do that. I know that, we have to bow down to athletes and, whatever their whims are just for the fans to accept. And because I've never strapped on the pads and played in the NHL, I have no place to say anything. But I have watched other teams. Have you watched any of the games in the Dallas-Minnesota series? Can you imagine what would happen if the Bruins played against one of those teams? Every game might finish in the double digits. The level of skill, the level of speed, the level of intensity, we don't match any of it. And so, I've never played in the NHL, but I've watched plenty of people who have. And I see what things belong in the NHL, what things are of the NHL. That wasn't it. That passionless, impotent, feckless performance, that wasn't it. And so to the fans who showed up and to the fans who stayed the whole time and cheered when Sean scored that goal, good for you. Good for you for supporting this team that spits in your face, that spits in mine, has a long time now. I remember the cup too. A lot of you don't. I don't know how you bear it if you don't remember the cup. Because that one bright spot in 50 years of the doldrums and the darkness, it's the only thing I can cling to for any sort of reasonable optimism about this team in general. Otherwise, we would just be the Leafs who get a little further and lose a little harder. At least they lose in the first round every time. 1972 is the last cup we won before 2011. The Leafs' last cup was only 5 years before that. So I know that the Bruins have this hubristic concept of themselves as this invincible, original six, whatever that means, team. But that's not reflected by the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is for the last decade, you've been choke artists. When you've had the upper hand in series, you give it up and then lose, including in legendary years. And when you have the lower hand, not really a saying in English, isn't that weird? The disadvantage in series, you just get blown the hell out of it. Buffalo's the better team. I had my questions about whether they would be ready with this being kind of an unexpected run in their first playoff run. Hats off to Lindy Ruff. Man, has he put that organization together. He's gotten, talk about speed, leading that like a crazy man in the locker room. But Darlene's look good. Thompson's been great. Their leaders are leading, and they're taking over the game, and they look like a seasoned playoff team in their first appearance. That's very rare and very impressive. And it was our big advantage over Buffalo. That and goaltending. Lions having a great series. We had that advantage over Luukkonen. I'll still rate Swayman over Lyon on the whole, obviously. But Lions played very well. And he's put his team in a position where if they can generate more shots, which they can every single game, then they can win. So the advantages that I perceived against Buffalo were at best fleeting once they made the necessary adjustments. So Buffalo is the better team. And usually you can stomach losing to the better team. At least I can. What I can't stomach is the wholesale disrespect for the fans who paid, for the fans who watch, for the logo. Because you ask yourself, what's worse? Is it worse if that was the best performance they could muster? That was genuinely full effort, and they are that far outclassed? Because that presents some major issues. If that's the case, we are light years away from being a legitimate contender in this league. Light years. But the alternative is that wasn't the best performance. And from what I've seen from this team and what I understand about the general parity of professional sports leagues in the world, there's no way that was the best performance. So what are you sandbagging for? What are you waiting for exactly? What's going to walk through that door? What's going to happen that changes things? Anyone follow the Red Sox? You see what they just did? They won by 16 and fired everyone. I think they might have fired the guys handing out popcorn in the stands. Do the Bruins think that can't happen? Do the Bruins think there will be no fire sale? Stern might be okay. Probably should be. First-year coach, overachieving, fine. Sweeney and Neely have some sort of blackmail against the owners, so they can't go anywhere. The players can be moved. A lot of them can be. And right now, if you put anyone on that block, I'd be fine. Because not one of them showed anything for us. Well, maybe the fourth line. Good, we'll keep them. First line center, Sean Corrali. Book it! Michael DiPietro Lover has a question for us, and it's his question of the day. Michael DiPietro Lover on Instagram asks, who's getting scratched? Everyone? Can we do that? In all seriousness, who cares? I mean, it's a fair question. It's actually a pretty good question because presumably there will be yet another lineup change after that performance. I don't know if Reichel would be out. I don't know who would go in. Maybe Steve's a little bit more grindy style. That seems to have worked a bit better. The fourth line are the ones scoring goals. Maybe Steve's would go in for Reichel. If Arvidsson is injured, then we would need yet somebody else. Reichel would probably stay in the lineup then, so we'll see about that. On defense, I can't imagine that Harris gets another game. I think maybe Lohrei comes back in. Or Jokiharju in for Harris. Or Jokiharju in for Peak. And Lohrei in for Harris, or something else. Those are the things that I see being even slightly likely. Really, I think, I don't know. I really don't know. If I'm Marco, I probably do something for the sake of keeping up appearances that I'm doing something. But when he called the timeout after Buffalo scored 3 goals or whatever, I guess I don't know what he would have said. And I don't mean to say that like putting it on him. It's not on him at all, at all. The game of hockey is played by the players on the ice. The coach can lose a game. He did not lose this game. No amount of roster management explains that difference. He could have brought up the whole AHL, the whole P Bruins, whole team, top down, and they should still lose by less than that. That was on the players, and there's no captain in that locker room, but whoever the next captain's going to be needs to say something in that locker room. The words that I could never find. That got rather existential. If you want to get existential somewhere else, check out Michael DiPietro Lover's page on Instagram. He's a rather deep and profound mind. And he has some more questions like this. They're pretty fun to answer, so give him a look. Give me a look on Instagram if you haven't already. Give us both a look. We follow each other. We're easy to find. BS with SB, you guys had some questions today. A lot of them were rather grim and sad, and some of them include ideation that I cannot share on YouTube, but I hope you're doing well. It's only game. Why you have to be mad? From James Hagen's Enthusiast, thoughts on Hagen's getting removed? Yeah, I mean, I don't really think about it in terms of his performance in this sequence of games that he played in this season and its impact on the series, because these things are so above James Hagen's head that I cannot even begin to hold him accountable as a 19-year-old coming into a situation where he had 2 regular season games experience before going in. Why on earth did you sign that ELC? Why? If he wasn't ready, he wasn't going to get ready in 3 games, which is the opportunity you had to put him in, or 2 games, which is what you actually put him in. I have to assume that you saw how he was playing. I know that you never know until you put him in there, but was it really worth an entire year off the ELC for what now seems to be 5 games? The only thing I think, this could be big brain if, now that a year of his ELC is burned, he only has 2 more remaining. It means we'll have to pay him more a year sooner, but we'll also have to pay him for a year less of development. So if in 2 years, maybe he's only a 4x5 player, that's an arbitrary number. Maybe it'll probably be more with the cap going up. So 4x6, whatever. Rather than if you gave him the full 3 years of development on the ELC, by the end of that, maybe he's more like an $8 million player. Who knows? That's optimistic, I dare say, but I'm okay with it. You have to make a change. He's young, although I don't think he was really that bad, that much of a liability. So, I don't know. I hope it doesn't affect his confidence. I don't think it will. He can go back down to Providence, I'm almost certain, to contribute to their Calder Cup run, which I think will go a lot deeper than our Stanley Cup run. So hopefully he'll be able to get some good playoff experience anyway. But yeah, I mean, I think necessary evil for the position that we're in. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite us in 2 years. From Minton Enjoyer, why is Fraser Minton so tough? Yeah, I mean, you saw Minton kind of in the full mount there at the end of the game, blood all on his visor. He looked cool. Good for him, adding that physical element to his game. I do not think this was a good game for him. I thought he was rough in our end, like I said. Maybe I said. I don't know. I've done a lot of takes. My head hurts from yelling. My head hurts from habanero. My head hurts from sorrow. But regardless of what I say, I don't think he was very good in our end. I don't think this was even his best game, per se, or at all. But he showed another layer of depth and complexity. And whereas I thought that the initial Zadorov hit was Bush League, after that you have to stand up for your guys. You have to get into that scrum, and he did. And held his own all right. So good for him. Regardless of his performance today or in the series, so high on that kid. What a season he's had. I really like him. And I'm glad that he'll be around for a while because I think he deserves, on the whole, to wear this jersey, to be a Boston Bruin. And I'm glad he is. From Minton Enthusiast. Absolutely horrendous. So bad. WTF, I'm embarrassed. You shouldn't be embarrassed. You have absolutely no personal liability in what this team does whatsoever. You shouldn't be embarrassed. I think any emotion is better than that pretty much because you deserve to feel wronged or slighted. You dedicated your time and energy to this, and that's what they did. One of my dear friends, friend of the channel, Mara Huzantinov Enthusiast, I'm sure won't mind me sharing, that some Buffalo fans were in his DMs during the game. First of all, you're DMing a meme page. That's where you take your... Come at me. I'm flesh and blood. I can interact with you. You could get yelled at. Please come at. I need haters. That's what generates views here. Second of all, what are you telling me for? Oh, your team sucks. I know. I watched them. I hate them too. We're on the same side here. I think they suck. They suck more to me than they can to you. They're doing what you want. They're not doing what I want. So the performance is bad equally for both of us. But it's a good thing for you and it's a bad thing for me. So shouldn't I be DMing you? That wouldn't really make sense either, but it feels right. From Johnny I Hardly Knew Ya, 45, friend of the channel. How do you genuinely bounce back from this atrocious performance? I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. And what I'm saying comes to us from FraserEdits.93. We are not moving on to the next round. It is a reality that I think we are all best with confronting. Don't give up, as in stop watching the games, but don't torture yourself, racking yourself, thinking about how we can still do this. The odds are astronomically low. The team this series has shown no real ability. They bounced back from game one. Maybe. We can only hope. And we can really only expect. Actually, I'll walk it back a little. I still don't have high hopes about this series, and I don't think anyone should. But I'll walk it back to go back to Johnny I Hardly Knew Ya, 45. How do you genuinely bounce back from this atrocious performance? Because you have to. Because if you don't, how pathetic are you? That's how you go out. You go out, if we lose in game 5, that game 4, was our last game this season on home ice. That's how you leave the fans. Ugh. I said this game was a must-win, and I stand by that. But there is a higher degree of must-win that exists, and that is a technical must-win. If the Bruins do not win, the season is over. That is on Tuesday. We should watch. We should cheer, and in the moment, we should be like me watching NCIS. We should hope and pray, despite how many times we've seen it and how we know the story ends. We should believe this time she might duck. This time we might win. Go Bees.